Hey, 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 it is an unstoppable day. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge. I'm your host, Terrance, the Unstoppable Coach Leftridge. And each and every week, we bring you this phenomenal show to help you get the tools, tips, and strategies to help your business move from stuck to being unstoppable. We're so glad that you're watching us, whether you're watching us live on the Facebook or whether you are listening to us on podcast platforms all across the globe. Welcome in to Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge. We want you to grab your pen, we want you to grab your pad and your favorite beverage, because we're going to have another phenomenal guest here that's going to give you some tips and some strategies that if you write them down, if you commit them to memory, and if you, more importantly, take action, then your business is going to continue to thrive instead of just surviving, especially in times like these. And that's going to be the subject of our conversation on this episode. We're talking about helping businesses not to just survive during this time of crisis, but to thrive during this time of crisis. And we know that this are some difficult times for us personally, as well as some difficult time for our businesses. If you look at the news each and every day, you see that unemployment is at an all-time high. There hasn't been this type of unemployment since the 1930s, almost 100 years ago. In the midst of all this chaos, in the midst of all the sickness, in the midst of all the people that have lost their lives to this silent killer, we want to take a moment and pause and say that our thoughts and prayers are with the families of all the loved ones that have been lost as a result of the current situation. Yes, our prayers are with those families. Thank you so much. And our prayers are definitely with all the business owners across the country. Businesses have been closed for over 3 to 4 weeks, shut down, unless you were an essential service, and you've lost income. You've lost employees that you've had to lay off or let go completely. You've lost revenue, you've lost morale, and you've probably also lost your mind, if you're going to be truthful, during this whole situation. This is not anything that they teach you about in business school. This is nothing that they teach you how to deal with when you're first opening your doors and you are opening the blinds and you're letting clients come in. This isn't taught in a budget class. There is no line item for how to deal with this current situation. But we're going to help you as much as we can on this episode to deal with the number one thing that's going to help you get through this time. And this is your personal and your business mindset. And with that in mind, we want to start off like we always start each show off by giving you the Talking Small Business with Terrance quote of the week. And I think it's a pretty good quote to look at for times like these. And it's a quote by one of my favorite poets, rest in peace, Maya Angelou. And it basically says, "My mission in life is to not just survive, but thrive, and do it with compassion, passion, some humor, and some style." And that is a quote that I can definitely wrap my head around with. And I think it's also a quote that really epitomizes our guest that we're going to have on the show this evening. Because if it's one thing I know about him, he definitely does everything with compassion, with passion for his business and for others and the people that he serves, a whole lot of humor, and my man definitely has some style. He is none other than the international motivational speaker himself, Cicone Prince. He's an award-winning author, a personal development strategist, and he is the CEO of CiconePrince.com, where their slogan is making motivation personal by introducing you to yourself. He's got an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree in electronic engineering, and he has used his love of learning to continue to educate himself. And then he passes those lessons on to others through his engaging stories and illustrations in his motivational speeches. And he is also the host of the 5th annual Next Level Leadership Summit and the chief editor of this phenomenal magazine that you've got to check out called Next Generation Speakers Magazine. He has a heart of gold and he has the desire to serve. And we're so glad that he is a part of our show today. So welcome to the stage, Mr. Cicone Prince. Cicone, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Can hear you loud and clear. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, doing well. Just excited to be here and to actually share some great information with your listeners, with your viewers. And I'm just appreciative of you for allowing me this opportunity to actually be here to actually pour into the lives of those who are going to tune in.
Well, we thank you for being here and taking time out of your busy schedule. You know, that bio that I just read is just chock full, and that was only a piece of the bio and of all the great things that are you doing globally to help people introduce themselves to themselves, and they can increase their personal development skills and their professional development skills through your next level leadership summit that's going into its 5th year. But I always like to say my guests can introduce themselves far better than any bio that I can read. So why don't you take a second and properly introduce yourself to the Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge audience?
Well, as Terrance already mentioned, my name is Cicone Prince of CiconePrince.com, where we make motivation personal by introducing you to yourself. And we specialize in personal development as well as leadership development. And we changed our summit from Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain to now it's Next Level Leadership Summit. Because one of the things we realize is once you've learned how to lead yourself, the next thing you need to do is to lead others. And so we are committed to developing leaders for tomorrow, really the next generation of leaders, and even the current ones we have. So we are focusing on helping people to understand the importance of them leading with integrity and leading effectively. And so that's just a little bit about myself, but I don't want to spend too much time talking about me because I want to actually help you get to where you need to be.
Well, that is definitely what we want to do here on Talking Small Business with Terrance. And so, again, the subject matter that we're working around with Cicone Prince, the founder of the Next Level Leadership Summit here on Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge, is helping businesses to not just survive, but to thrive. So, Cicone, I know with your personal coaching, when you're business coaching and your group coaching, you're probably talking to a lot of business owners these days. What kind of concerns or issues are you hearing from the people that you directly deal with on a daily basis?
Well, this really kind of takes me into what I want to share with your audience, because one of the first things I tell anybody that's willing to listen, that is, you have to deal with your emotions. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. During these uncertain times, one of the first things that we have is we have to deal with our emotions. And I tell people all the time, never let your emotions drive. because they're not covered on your insurance.
I love that. We got to let that one. We don't let great nuggets like that just fly by the conversation. So for those note takers who we know are money makers, I want you to say that one more again so that they can get that down.
Never let your emotions drive. They're not covered on your insurance.
Wow. So let's break that down and put some more meat on the bone. What do you mean by that? Why do you think business owners are letting other people drive?
Well, when our emotions get out of whack, we make decisions that we are not really willing to be held accountable for. When we're upset, when we're frustrated, when we're mad, when we're angry, we do things and think things and say things that are out of our character. And if we don't keep our emotions in check, if we don't learn how not to trust them, I mean, it's not that you don't have your emotions, because we all do. And for me to ask you not to have emotions would be for me to ask you to not to be human. We all have emotions, but you can't trust them. You can't trust them because they will inevitably get you in trouble. I mean, again, they're like they are literally like the children in your life. They're not old enough to drive. Behind the wheel, and they see where they want to go. I mean, they're all on the sidewalk, knocking down mailbox and stuff. Why? And then when the car get in the ditch, they didn't want to hop out and hop in the back seat and get in their booster seat. No, you can't let your emotions drive you. And so even during this time, a lot of people are fearful.
Absolutely.
There's a certain level of uncertainty, and they really don't know what's coming next. But again, don't let them drive, because I would rather be in a fight with somebody on my side that has their emotions in check. I mean, yeah, you can be scared. You can be scared, but you can do it anyway. But again, you have to keep them in check, because if you let your fear drive, it'll get you killed.
Absolutely. Yeah. You definitely don't want to let your emotions rule the day or to determine your decisions, especially in a time like this when our emotions are really on a roller coaster. Some days are good and other days are bad. Some days we hear the news and the numbers sound encouraging, and then the next day we'll get hit with an even bigger number that brings us back down into that level of uncertainty. And I think you would agree, as business owners, we've got to make our decisions based upon data and based upon information and based upon the numbers more so than the emotions that might take us in a different direction or make us make split-second decisions instead of making thoughtful, insightful decisions. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. And that is a great segue into my next point. Because my next point is you have to get your mind right.
I love it.
After you've gotten your emotions in check, after you've gotten them under wraps, the next thing that you and I need to do is we need to get our mind right. We need to be able to step back and objectively look at where we are versus where we want to go. Any GPS that you have, whether it's on your phone, whether it's in your vehicle, one of the first things it's going to ask you is your destination, but it's also going to ask your current location. If you don't have locations turned on, it's going to ask you, where are you now? Because you may have to, it may take you 4 days to get to where you're going, or you may just be right across the street.
Yes.
You know your destination, but where's your current location? And so getting our mind right is seeing where we are versus where we want to be.
I love it. And basically what we're saying and what you're saying and what I'm hearing you saying is right, is even though we are in this current situation, where is your business right now? for some businesses, they were already in some level of chaos even before this came along. So this just probably exacerbates the situation. But then there are other businesses that did forecasting correctly, did budgeting correctly. They had their reserves in place, and they are more prepared to weather this unusual storm, a storm that it still may be, just one that we have never created before. And I know there's a line that you use and that I use on different speaking engagements that also says that better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Thrive, not just survive. Those businesses that are taking this time now while you're sheltered in place and your doors may be closed, now those businesses that are taking the time to redefine their mission, to look at their plan of action, to look at their budgeting, and now how you can do things different, how you can offer different products and services. Those are the businesses that when your doors reopen, you're going to be able to thrive. Some businesses are going to come out of this with new income streams. Some businesses are going to come out of this with new leads, new customers, because now they've reached out to customers that were outside of their comfort zone, that was outside of their way of thinking. Businesses are going to continue to thrive, but you're going to put in the work now while you can't open your doors to make this happen. And as we bring Cicone Prince back on to the show, mic check, 1 2 1 2. Cicone, are you there?
I'm here, man. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Man, your information was so exciting and so valuable that somebody just didn't want you to share that information with our audience, did they?
Well, they have just added fuel to the fire. I know that somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to make sure that they have their mind right. You know,
absolutely. And this is a perfect example of what's going to happen to some businesses as this crisis passes. Some businesses aren't going to be ready to open back up. Some they're going to experience virtual or even physical technical difficulties in getting their business back up and running because they're not taking the time now to put that in place. And you talked about taking action. That's where you left off. So why don't you pick up from there on how businesses can take action now so that they don't experience that technical difficulty after this passes?
Well, you know, once you've gotten your emotions in check and once you've gotten your mind right, the next thing you need to do is definitely take action. That means that you have to go through the process of putting your plan into practice. It's not enough just to have a plan, but you have to execute it. And you have to be willing to do whatever it takes in order to see it come to pass. But again, you have to have your emotions in check, because if your emotions not in check, you're going to get frustrated and you're not going to want to continue the plan. So having them in check, in their bouncy seats, or in their car seats, having them in their proper place. I'm not saying throw them out of the car altogether, but keep them, because you do need your emotions. But don't let them drive. But then once you got your mind right, and once you figured out where it is you want to go versus where you are right now, the next thing you do is you have to take action. You have to be willing to put into place that plan that you have come up with. A lot of companies are going to have to make adjustments. They're going to have to retool. I was watching the news today, and they talked about how some restaurants are so small and they have people so packed in that it's really hard for them to do social distancing. This one lady, she said, I can put the people 6 feet apart, but that essentially has me with half of my clientele.
Yeah.
The prices aren't cut in half. You're just cutting my folks in half because of social distancing. So it's figuring out, how do we move forward? One of the things I can say about entrepreneurs is they find a way. They look for a way. They team up with people. They do collaborations, but they are problem solvers. And Shay Brown oftentimes tells us people will pay you today for the problem that you can solve today. So what problem is it that you can solve? And if you can anticipate problems that hadn't even shown up yet, oh, you'll have people beating a path to your door, because when a problem shows up, you already got the solution.
Absolutely. And you know, we just said before you came back on that a lot of people, as well as a lot of business, are looking to get back to business as usual, get back to normal. And I submit to you that as we turn this obstacle into new opportunities, that you shouldn't want to get back to normal. You need to understand, especially as businesses, the new normal. And for you, the new normal may be a new way of doing business, a new way of increasing your business, increasing your foot traffic, increasing your presence. A lot of businesses were just brick and mortar and they didn't do online. Now, because they had to go online, that's opened up a whole new stream of customers and income from them. Other businesses have decided that they don't even need the brick and mortar because they can do all the same things online and not have the overhead that comes with having a brick and mortar location. So we don't want to go back to the new normal. At least I don't. I don't want to go back to business as usual. I want to seize this opportunity that this obstacle has placed in front of us and use it to its fullest extent. But that starts with taking action, like you said.
Right, exactly. And so it is important for us to understand that we are going to have to be a part of our own rescue.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to say that again for those who are taking notes. You have to be a part of your own, you have to participate in your own rescue. I was telling somebody just the other day, don't go with the flow, direct it.
Yes. And I love that. And I love how you used to tell the Superman story. And with that same adage that Superman isn't coming to save us in this one, y'all. We go to the movies when we used to be able to go to the movies, and we look for our Cape Crusaders, and we look for our heroes to come in and swoop in and save the day and make everything okay. Right. And we don't have any part in making that happen. Well, that's why it's a movie, because it's fantasy.
Right.
The reality of the fact is that you've got to save yourself. The reality of the fact is your business is you. Your business is your baby. Your business is your blood, your sweat, your tears, and now your adaptability and your ingenuity. That's going to save the day. Go ahead.
And if I could piggyback off of that, you become the superhero of your own story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And somebody else's story, because now you've shown your ability to adapt to the situation. You've shown how you have not let your emotions get in the way, and you've been able to just take a pause and pivot and move your business in a new direction. And somebody who's watching you, because they're always watching us, whether we're doing good or whether we're doing bad. There's another business owner. There's another person out there who's thinking about getting into business, and they're using you as the blueprint to whether or not they're going to take their own leap into this world of business. And if they can see you do it, then trust and believe they're going to believe now that they can do it too. And they'll take action, just like Cicone says. But Cicone, you also have a bonus tip for our listeners and our viewers right now too. What's that bonus tip?
Well, the bonus tip, believe it or not, is one word, and that's repeat.
Okay.
You heard me. I said repeat. Because inevitably, what's going to happen is you get your emotions right. You wind up, you get them where they need to be. You get your mind right. You get your plan together. And you take action, and then inevitably something's going to happen. Everything's not going to go the way you want it to go. And guess what's going to happen again? The emotions are going to flare up. They're going to get back out of control. So you have to start the process over and over and over again. But in doing so, you're growing. You're not just going through it, you're growing through it, because you're learning not to let your emotions run rampant for so long. Sometimes people let opportunities pass by them because they are in their feelings for too long. Now, again, I'm not saying that we're not to have our emotions, but we're not to let them rule us. We're not to let them drive. We are to make sure that we put ourselves in a position to where, okay, I dealt with those. Now let me figure out what it is I need to do, and then let me do it. And then once I do that process, inevitably something's going to go wrong. I'm going to get in my feelings again, but I need to get those under control, figure out what I'm going to do now. Then I need to do that. And as I go, inevitably something's going to happen again. So I need to get my emotion checked. So it's a process. We just learn how to repeat so that we're not so sideswiped by the fact that, okay, I'm having to do this again, but you've learned something. Hopefully you've learned something in that process.
Absolutely. And it's important for us to stress right now that every business goes through a life cycle. And the life cycle is very similar to the seasons of time. We all go through our winter and we all yearn for the summer, the sun of summer. But even when we get to the sun of summer, rest and assured, another winter is going to come.
True.
That's the same thing in the life cycle of your business. You've got to be prepared that just like this came, that rest assured, if you're staying business long enough, you're going to run across another season of where you're going to have to adapt, another season of where you're going to have to pause and maybe pivot, another season of where you're going to have to do something a little bit different to continue to remain in business. But if you use the tips that Cicone has shared with you today, not trusting your emotions, getting your mind right, and recognizing that this cycle will continue to occur, then you are more prepared to take the action. And as my mama used to say, wash, rinse, and repeat.
Right. I do have one other illustration, since you mentioned seasons. I found out something incredibly interesting.
What's that?
Trees don't grow in the spring, and they really don't grow in the summer. They grow in the winter.
Wow.
And you know why they grow in the winter?
No, share that with us.
There's not as much sunlight. There's not as much moisture. So their roots have to dig deeper in order to get in more nutrients. They shed their leaves to make room for new growth. So when the spring comes around, they have spent the winter, their roots have been stretching further and further into the soil. So really, you only see the product in the spring and in the summer of what happened in the winter. We're in a winter right now. And a lot of people find themselves having to dig deep and find the tenacity that's needed in order for them to be able to keep going. So when they come out of this, they're going to be ready to flourish and to bloom. But it's now, this is where your growth occurs. During times like this, this is where it's developed. And so don't allow this time to pass you by and you not dig deep. There are people that are learning stuff they've never learned before. They're doing stuff they've never done before. They are pouring into themselves and educating themselves. They say, well, I never had time to study this or to figure this out or to actually write that book or come up with that program. But now they have an opportunity because they're stuck at home. They have an opportunity to do it unhindered. Don't let this time pass you by. Look at this really as a blessing, as an opportunity for you to reinvent yourself, to come back bigger and better and stronger than you've ever been. You have a great opportunity right now. Don't waste it. I know for myself, I've been educating myself. I've been trying new stuff. I've been teaching myself. I've been watching seminars and webinars and making sure that I'm positioning myself for when things do open up, that I'm ready for the new normal. Because like Coach T said, I really don't think it's going to go back to the way it was, but we're going to have to position ourselves. How do I operate in the new normal? What is it that I need to do in order to actually thrive post COVID-19, after the shutdown? That's what we need to be focusing on.
Absolutely. As I said earlier, you know what? We especially entrepreneurs, especially as speakers, we know this one adage. It is better to have been prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Now you have the opportunity. The opportunity has been thrust upon you. You can't do anything else.
Right.
So now take this opportunity to prepare yourself so that you're not guessing about the new normal. You're not wondering about the new normal. You're creating the new normal. And those who are able to create a new normal for themselves are going to find that their business is not only going to survive, but it's going to thrive in this new normal.
Yes.
Cicone Prince, you know what, the time just runs out far too quickly, but I thank you for coming on the show. I thank you for your tenacity and your wherewithal to get back on the show and not the technical difficulties stop you from sharing this powerful message with our audience. Now, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about this phenomenal summit that you have coming up in October called the Next Level Leadership Summit. Take a second and tell them about what this is all about.
Well, the Next Level Leadership Summit is going to be a summit that focuses on helping to develop effective leaders. Those leaders that are able to effectively create change in their respective environments. And we have 7 categories that we're focusing on. We have someone that's going to talk about inner leadership, someone that talks about outer leadership, someone that talks about corporate leadership, someone that talks about organizational leadership, someone that talks about male leadership, female leadership, and youth leadership. So those are the 7 areas that we're going to have workshops on in order to be able to help equip individuals on how do I lead in a corporate environment. Because when you're in a corporate environment, you're leading for profit. But when you're in an organizational environment, you're leading for a cause. So it's a different set of dynamics there. Also, internal leadership, leading oneself. How do you do that? And then external leadership is leading others. Now, somebody will say, well, Cicone, how can you have that as well as corporate and organizational leadership? Well, external leadership or leading others, that may be in a situation where it's kind of like crisis management. You haven't been elected to the position. You haven't been hired. You didn't volunteer, but a leader needs to step up. Think of being in a building and a fire breaks out. And it seems like no one seems to know what to do. You have to step up. You can't just wait, well, no one led us out, so we all stayed in there. No, you have to be able to step up. How do you step up in a crisis situation? Just like right now. I remember seeing on the news where there was this nail shop. They volunteered to send masks to the local hospital. No one told them, no one made them, no one even paid them to it. They did it because they stepped up. Even in the crisis. And so we're going to talk about how that is important and is needed. And this is a prime example of having the ability to lead others. And so for everyone to focus on all of those areas of leadership, it's going to be October the 8th through the 10th in Atlanta, Georgia. And we are making sure that we are listening to the officials because we definitely want everybody to be safe. But we know even more so now how needed leadership is. In this time, dealing with these situations, we need effective leadership. All of us, we've experienced some sort of or some form of poor or bad leadership. But we are going to equip you on how to be an effective leader in those respective areas. So I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. And this is our 5th one. We changed the name from Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain to Next Level Leadership. Because like I said earlier, once you learn how to lead yourself, the next thing is to teach others how to be leaders. So that's our focus, and that's what we're going to be doing now. And I am beyond excited. I've been working on a workbook, and I had a lot of time to actually. So it's going to be chock full of information that's going to help change the course and the trajectory of your organization, of your corporation, of your business, of your own personal life. Because we're going to make sure that you have everything you need in order to effectively and confidently lead wherever it is you find yourself at. So we're excited. We're excited.
Well, I love it. How can they get more information on this great, phenomenal 5th annual summit that's coming up on October 8th through the 10th?
Well, the way you can find out the latest information is go to nllsummit.com. That's nllsummit.com. And that NLL is for Next Level Leadership. nllsummit.com. That's where they can go to find out the latest information on ticket prices, hotel rooms, and all of that. And we're going to be updating that really, really soon. We've been in contact with the hotel to make sure that everything is still a go. We really want to see what kind of restrictions they may have in place for large gatherings, because we're definitely going to have to have a component of our summit, which is going to be virtual.
Right.
I know for a fact there's nothing like being in a room full of like-minded people who think differently.
I love it. I love it. And now that we are going to be coming through this time around October, it's definitely going to be something where we need to empower our leaders so that they can continue to lead us through this time. Leaders in each of our individual businesses, whether it's a small business or whether it's a large corporation, each one of us now has to see how we can pause, pivot, and take on new leadership roles in order to create this new normal that's going to be beneficial for everybody. So definitely, if you are interested, go to NLL Summit, Next Level Leadership Summit.com, and stay in contact with the upcoming information that's going to be on that site. But Cicone, I know there's going to be some business owner, there's going to be some entrepreneur that is going to need a little bit more information or a little bit more assistance now, even before October gets here. So they might be interested in your personal development coaching, where you introduce them to themselves, or your group coaching to help businesses continue to thrive and not just survive throughout this crisis. How can they get in contact with you directly for any workshops or speaking opportunities that they may want to bring you into their company?
Well, they can actually look me up online, CiconePrince.com. That's CiconePrince.com. And you can actually click on coaching, and there you can find out how to set up an appointment so that we can actually sit down and do an assessment, find out again where you are versus where you want to be. And we can actually help you get there. And we are so excited about the opportunity to help show you who you truly are. Because I honestly believe that people haven't taken the time to get to know what they have and what they can bring to the table. So that's one of the things I do. I help you understand your strengths, and I help you capitalize on them. But we also look at your weaknesses as well and figure out how we can shore those up and make sure that you are ready for the challenges ahead. And so we are excited about the opportunity to just speak with you and to just help you find out where it is you want to go and help get you there. Do whatever it takes to help make sure that you achieve those goals.
Well, this has definitely been very informative. Again, if you want to get more information on the services that are provided by Cicone Prince, go to his website, CiconePrince.com, and click on the coaching tab and you can get more information. Now, if you want to be a part of that summit, again, we want you to go to his summit website, which is nllsummit.com, nllsummit.com, for the Next Level Leadership Summit, which is coming October 8th through the 10th in Atlanta, Georgia. He doesn't want you to meet him there. He wants you to beat him there. Yeah. Cicone, it's always a pleasure to have you on the Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge show. There's always an open chair for you to talk about the event as we get closer to the event. But for right now, you have any closing thoughts that you want to leave with our audience before we say goodnight?
Well, I want to make sure that the audience understands and knows that we are going to get through this. We are going to make it. I know sometimes it seems as if, the world is falling apart. But this is not the end. So because it's not the end, what are we doing to prepare for what's coming next, for what's after this? Like I said, You got to get our emotions in check. You got to make sure we get our mind right. We got to take action, and we got to repeat the process. So now is an opportunity for you to make sure that you are equipped for not only after this, but even what comes next. You got to keep putting yourself in a position where you are a perpetual student, to where you're learning. Tell people all the time, I either win or I learn, because I don't lose. If I take the time to get the lesson from what I've gone through. It's only a loss if you leave the lesson. So don't leave the lesson. Even in this, understand that there's something you can learn, and then capitalize on that and prepare yourself for what's coming next.
And that's where we're going to leave it. Thank you, Cicone Prince, CiconePrince.com, and also the Next Level Leadership Summit coming up October 8th through the 10th. Definitely go to NLLsummit.com to get more details. Thank you so much, Cicone. We appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us on the Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge show. Have a great day, okay?
You too. Thank you again.
All right, and you guys, that's a wrap. Again, we appreciate you for being here on the TSBTL show. Make sure you go listen to us on all podcast platforms, including Google Podcast and Apple Play. We want to thank our guest again for being on the show, and we definitely want you to go over to the podcast and check up all the past episodes of the Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge show. If you're interested in being a future guest on the show, you can reach out to us at info@unstoppablecoaching.com. And who knows, you could be the next guest on the Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge show, where we help businesses move from being stuck into being unstoppable. I'm your host, Terrance Leftridge of Unstoppable Coaching Services. And as always, in parting, we don't want you to just have a great day. We want you to get your mind right. Don't trust your emotions. Take action and then repeat the process. Then make it an unstoppable day. Take care.